Carlos Maza, who works for Vox, is a left-wing commentator who has a YouTube series called Strikethrough. Steven Crowder is a right-wing YouTuber who critiques Carlos's content and has been doing so for years. Suddenly, Carlos doesn't like this. Since I started working at Vox, Steven Crowder has been making video after video debunking Strikethrough. Every single video has included repeated overt attacks on my sexual orientation and ethnicity. I've been called an anchor baby, a lispy queer, a Mexican, etc. These videos get millions of views on YouTube. Every time one gets posted, I wake up to a wall of homophobic, racist abuse on Instagram and Twitter. I, too, wake up to a whole bunch of comments on social media platforms of people disagreeing with me and calling me all sorts of names, too. Obviously not as much as Carlos. It hasn't really bothered me, and I don't think after a few years it will. Now, maybe Carlos has a tipping point, or he just feels like venting this week. That's healthy. Catharsis is a good thing. But we all know this leaving comments on social media thing is not abuse. There's also a variety of block options on every platform. The problem should now be solved, but not to Carlos. This isn't about silencing conservatives. I don't give an F and F if conservatives on YouTube disagree with me. But by refusing to enforce its anti-harassment policy, YouTube is helping incredibly powerful cyberbullies organize and target people they disagree with. Now, Carlos thinks Steven Crowder's content facilitates cyberbullying, or that Steven himself is a cyberbully. According to YouTube's harassment and cyberbullying policy, this constitutes revealing someone's personal information unless that information is already public. Content that is deliberately posted in order to humiliate someone, unless of course it's within the form of criticism or parody. You are allowed to criticize people, with or without comedy, under fair use. You are using their own content and comments in the form of criticism. That is not cyberbullying. Content that makes hurtful and negative personal comments videos about another person. Well, if that's the case, then men or women who are X, Y, and Z and admit to being X, Y, and Z can't be criticized. Carlos admits to being gay, Latino, a Marxist, and talking with a lisp. There's nothing wrong with Steven or anyone else mentioning these qualities jokingly, cordially, or in any tone. Content that incites others to harass or threaten individuals on or off YouTube. Steven Crowder doesn't do this. He is not responsible for his viewers. If he did do this, considering how big a channel he has, his content would have been flagged a long time ago. So even though it isn't about silencing conservatives, it's about silencing the one conservative Carlos simply doesn't like the most, or else he wouldn't care, for whatever he felt this week. Anyway, if you want to help, I guess you can go to this dude's videos and flag them, but YouTube isn't going to do anything because YouTube does not give an F about queer creators. It cares about engagement, and homophobic racist harassment is very engaging. Here Carlos is actively telling people on his Twitter account to flag Steven Crowder's videos. Why? To get him banned from YouTube. He then reiterates that YouTube doesn't care about queer creators, and of course, he is always the victim. Just imagine if Steven Crowder said this on Twitter. Imagine how fast he would get banned from that platform for inciting his fans or his followers to go false flag someone's YouTube video. But Carlos, he gets a pass. In fact, he wants his followers to openly attack those of differing political viewpoints, even to humiliate them to prevent them from associating them with themselves in public. YouTube doesn't care for queer creators, nor should it. YouTube has a policy for all creators on its platform to follow. It does not or should not take preference to those based on sexual orientation. That's not what YouTube is, nor should it facilitate that. But nothing is stopping from making a YouTube channel about that topic or content. Since last week, as of Monday, June the 3rd, Crowder has only made one video, and it was in response to Carlos making those tweets. Carlos hasn't held back. He's posted a video of Crowder calling him various names, all of which are true as far as I heard them, and jokingly mocking him in his views. There's nothing wrong with that commentary. Why is Carlos suddenly now sensitive about it? But 2 years of targeted harassment is enough. YouTube has an explicit anti-harassment policy for a reason. What's the holdup? Well, because he's not actually harassing you, Carlos, and he's not inciting harassment. My guess is because you drew attention to yourself, you're the one causing all this current backlash, not Steven. It might have something to do with your views, which might just be flawed. You know, the thing that humans are. I hear that When you're in an echo chamber, those flaws tend to multiply. I realize that this issue is purposely ridiculous and meant to distract from the real issue, which is that for years YouTube has allowed a massive right-wing account to violate their policies, harass queer creators, and sell socialism is for fags shirts with impunity. All of which Steven has done is legal, all of which is within their terms of service. You can hold whatever political beliefs you like within reason and sell stuff. Again, I see no evidence of policy violations from Steven Crowder, and there's nothing wrong with being a massive left, right, center, or anarchist YouTube account. It has been 3 full days without a response from Team YouTube. In the meantime, Crowder and his allies have uploaded multiple videos targeting me for additional harassment. Of course, just making videos is harassment now. Nothing will happen to him because YouTube doesn't give an F about queer creators. While I'm not an ally of Crowder, I am an ally of free speech. And again, Carlos just doesn't understand that YouTube doesn't and shouldn't and won't care about YouTube creators and their sexuality. This is nothing more than one creator at their tipping point, for whatever reason, suddenly doesn't like all the social media feedback he's been getting. I guess he just can't block all those people fast enough. Tweets and comments are not harassment. You can't blame another channel for criticizing your content. Criticism is fair game, and nothing is stopping Carlos from criticizing Steven back. But to actively tell people while playing the victim to falsely flag Steven's videos because he just doesn't like them anymore is abuse of the tool. Steven hasn't flagged Carlos's content as far as I can tell. He just criticizes it, no matter how many flaws and misconceptions he finds in it. Steven at least has some fun. This might be to Carlos's expense, but he is a public figure publishing public content, and he has a very large megaphone. In fact, both of them do. Why is Carlos suddenly angry about his sexuality and political views, even if they're openly mocked, when he's so public about them, and now it's making him some victim of free speech? Let it go, Carlos. You've been doing so well for so long. And please stop playing the victim. Maybe if you made better content, maybe others wouldn't have to criticize you in a jokingly manner and point out your many, many flaws.